The top 5 things you're going to need during your clinical year at vet school. Hey guys, and welcome back to another video of mine. I am going to be talking about what I found to be the most helpful during vet school, the top 5 things that you're going to need to keep you organized, to keep you sane, to help you prep for boards, and just to make you feel and be very successful throughout your clinical year. Now, for the most part, they are quite simple, but at the same time, not just knowing that you need them, but knowing how to use them efficiently, I think will be awesome. So the first thing that you're going to need is a notebook. So something very simple like this little one I have here. You can even use something that's more tightly bound. You know, you can't rip your pages out. But this, as you can see, is riddled with notes, okay? And having a notebook, or at least having some kind of major document on your computer that's dedicated to notes taken during clinics is so important. So obviously, whenever you're using it, it's going to be for history, for writing out your diagnostics, your plans, etc. But the other thing that is important to think about whenever using notebooks is to make sure that throughout the day, whenever you're listening to residents talk, whenever you're listening to interns talk, faculty, etc., you're just writing down those little gems. And maybe you can put a circle around it, because sometimes, more than likely, it's going to be a random fact, but it's something that you are going to need, if not for the boards, then at least when you start your job or your internship or whatever. Always, always, always be on the ready. Like, usually when I was on the clinic floor, I was just like this. Say what now? You know, always ready to go, always ready to write something down. And so I had a lot of random facts in my notebook, but it was good for me, because if we had a rounds topic later on, and especially if we were given time to prepare, I was able to kind of go back and find those little random bits of knowledge, those little gems that I would hear throughout the day. And also whenever you are obviously getting information from a client, etc., you have your notebook ready, okay? And the important thing, though, is to try to keep it as organized as possible. Sometimes that's not likely, but do your best, okay? Clinics is already a time of chaos, so whatever you can do to make your notebook as organized as possible, whether it's using certain colored highlighters for, say for instance, if you have the random facts, you can highlight that in pink. If you have something that's more structured, you know, your information that you're jotting down for client history, plan diagnostics, etc., you can do that in a different section with a different color highlighter, whatever works for you. And again, if you're going to do it online, I mean, using your computer, you have notes. If you have a Mac, you have your Word document, etc. So use that to your advantage, but make sure you keep it labeled properly, titled properly, organized, because it's going to be so important. I emphasize, come time for boards and come time for, you know, if you're going to jump into private practice, if you're going to an internship, what have you, okay? The next thing is a stethoscope. Of course, I don't have mine right now, but it's so tempting to get those fancy dancy, I just made that word up. It's so tempting to get those fancy stethoscopes that have the automatic readers, you know, they can calculate the heart rate for you, etc. That's great and everything, but considering that, you know, during your 4th year, it's a time of learning, I, in my opinion, advise you to just almost be as basic as possible, but you want to be able to train your ears to listen to what's normal. You want to train your ears to listen out for murmurs. You want to train your ears to be able to reliably count your heart rate in a patient that's bradycardic, in a patient that's tachycardic, in a patient that has irregular heartbeats, etc. Don't rely just yet. Of course, whenever you're done with school and you feel like a pro, yeah, get all the fancy gadgets. But for now, it's so important for our ears to be trained and sensitive to everything before relying on technology. The next thing is, and I do have this with me, bandage scissors. You guys, I cannot tell you how many times I have been inconvenienced by the fact that I did not have my bandage scissors on me, okay? It is so important to have these on you, because 9 out of 10 of your patients are going to have catheters. They're going to need them taken out. And if you are there with somebody else, they don't have their bandage scissors, you don't have your bandage scissors, you're like, oh my gosh, you need to call a tech or a nurse, and you're hunting one down or a fellow student, it's annoying and it's a little frustrating because everyone has something to do. Everyone's busy. Let's just say your dog is acting up and you're just trying to get this done as soon as possible and you're sitting there hunting down bandage scissors. It's just a mess. A pair of scissors is just one of those things that is just so clutch to have, okay? There's nothing else I can say about that, just to have your own pair of scissors. The next thing, have that as item number 4, is having a pen and highlighter. In these days, everyone has electronic this and electronic that. However, you never know when you're going to need a pen, and you never know when you're going to need a highlighter. So if your clinical school has treatment sheets that are literally paper, you're gonna have to use a pen and a highlighter. Everybody likes to highlight, obviously the most important thing. So again, out of the sake of convenience and out of the sake of time, you're not running down and hunting something that's so basic and archaic as the pen. Just have one on hand, have 1 or 2, and of course a highlighter. And last but not least, a watch. So I should have placed this right after the stethoscope, but a watch is so important and so convenient whenever you are listening to the heart and you're trying to calculate a heart rate, and also for respiration. Yes, they're probably gonna have clocks all around, but let's just say they don't. You're in a room that does not have a clock, and let's just say you're in a room that does not have a functional clock, okay? You can sit there and try to whip out your phone like I had to do a couple times because I forgot my watch, and I'm fumbling trying to find, the clock and the timer, and it was just, it kind of slowed me down. But having this on your wrist and literally doing this, okay, when you think about time, when you think about efficiency, having a watch is so clutch. So now that I went through the top 5 things, I'm just gonna throw this bonus thing in, and that is VetPocket. I'm giving a major shout out to VetPocket. You guys, I discovered them at the beginning of my 4th year, so sometime, I think it was like last May or last June. And when I tell you, I was singing to the gods, okay, praise for that app and for their Instagram page. I'm so thankful for them. So the veterinarian who runs it, she's a mathematician as well. And so VetPocket has a lot of questions, a lot of resources that are focused on, for instance, fluid calculations, med calculations, RER calculations, etc. And she has a lot of practice questions on her IG account, and her explanations are so detailed, like you will literally not miss a beat. And it's just great to practice because when you're on the floor and you're told, I need you to calculate, maintenance fluids for this dog, Sometimes, you already know how to do it, like we learned in school, obviously, but whenever you are so stressed, whenever you're anxious, your brain kind of just tightens up on you a little bit and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't even remember the formula. And if you do remember the formula, sometimes you're just like, I don't even know how to calculate it. You do, it's just a nerve. So being able to practice the questions that she posts on Instagram, when I tell you, it's just amazing, okay? It's great. And of course, medication calculations as well. Another awesome thing that she has, which I really appreciate, is practicing how to calculate CRIs, practicing how to dilute solutions. She's just awesome. So check out VetPocket whenever you can. And she also has an app, like I said. With the app, you can get the free version or you can pay. And obviously when you pay, you get access to more. So it's, so far I haven't paid, but I have the free version where I get, I think, access to analgesics and some antibiotics. I don't remember. But so she has a list of very common and some not so common drug names and their common dosage, everything. And so you can just put in the weight and it'll calculate for you. If you are to use her app, even though it's automatically calculated, the drugs, I would still practice doing it on my own first and then compare, just so that you can get in the habit, you can train your muscles to get that done and not have to rely on it. But of course, when you're rushing and if you know your stuff, then go ahead and use the app. It just makes life easier. All right, I hope this was helpful for you. I am overdue for some NAVLE questions, but don't worry, I'm gonna get those out soon. And in the meantime, I hope all is going well. I hope everyone is at peace. If you have any questions for me or if you'd like to leave a comment below, please do so, and I will see you next time. Bye.